What's up, guys? In the works, and we are whipping out the PP today. And yes, I had to go there. I feel the temptation was there. I just couldn't not make that joke, and I feel like everybody, whenever they use the PP-2000 or the PP-19, they've got to make the PP joke. And I've said the word PP way too many times, so let's move on. But yes, we are using the PDW known as the PP-2000. Which is kind of new and improved. DICE has buffed the minimum damage on this because they feel, what they said is they wanted to make the PP-2000 that mid-range PDW. And I'm going to talk about a few of the myths that kind of exist in the drop-off world and some time to kill stats and whatnot. But we are playing on some close quarters because I figured, I might as well get my fill on close quarters before the armor kill maps come out because, once they come out, probably won't play a lot of close quarters because in my opinion this DLC just wasn't really that solid. I feel like the maps just were too chaotic, they weren't well thought out, there's not enough flanking routes, a lot of things I just didn't really like about this, and I'm really excited for Armor Kill because I think that plays more into the style of play that I like. But I feel like the close quarters maps really work well with the PDWs, all of them in fact. I think they all really excel in these types of scenarios. I mean, it makes sense. A PDW, a personal defense weapon, is a close quarters weapon that, in most situations you would use to defend yourself within a close quarters scenario. So I think they work well in these maps. But the PP-2000 did get that min damage buff, and DICE has claimed that it's the new mid-range master. And, I disagree with that to a certain extent, because you take a look at the UMP, and a lot of you guys on my UMP video sat down and said, hey Jake, the UMP does less minimum damage. The min damage on the UMP is less than the 1911. That makes no sense. And really what they were doing is they're trying to balance the weapons, and doing so may make it seem a little bit more unrealistic. But in the same respect, a lot of people feel like the UMP isn't good outside of its 8 to 10 meters, and I was like, what? Are you guys kidding me? And for DICE kind of saying, the PP-2000 is the middle ground between the UMP and the other PDWs because it does hold its damage longer. There's no doubt about that. If you go and look at the stats, you can see that it's similar to the way the UMP used to behave. Granted, it does shoot 50 rounds per minute faster, so it's pretty good at most ranges, considering that you can stay on target quite easily with the PP-2000 because it does have such a plotting rate of fire. The recoil pattern on it's not too crazy, but if you look at the time to kill stats, you'll notice something, that it's not until 25 meters where this actually starts to beat. Yes, you heard me right. 25 meters is when this actually starts to beat the UMP. So that's a pretty long ways to wait. I mean, 25 meters for a personal defense weapon, I mean, at that point, you're starting to get into the territory where you're going to get outshot by a lot of assault rifles, by a lot of engineered weapons. Heck, even the 870 might, snipe you with a slug at that point. So it's kind of not really doing what I think DICE intended it to be. I mean, granted, time to kill is a very misinformed stat. I think a lot of people will get time to kill, and they have to realize that in order for that to actually mean something, you actually have to be getting your bullets on target. And I think that's where the PP-2000 strength comes in. The fact that you can be a lot more accurate with this weapon, because if you're not getting bullets on target, you're not going to kill said target. So I do think the PP-2000 has a role in this game, because it's very, very easy to snipe people at medium ranges. Granted, it is going to take a lot of bullets, and you are going to lose a lot of gunfights. And this game in particular, I left a lot of my deaths in, because a lot of you guys have been asking me, like, hey Jake, why don't you leave some of your deaths in? I like to see, what weapons are beating you, kind of your thought process, how you go about using this weapon in insert blank scenario. And I was like, yeah, that's a good idea, especially with this weapon. You can kind of get an idea of the strengths, the weaknesses, and what weapons are kind of out shooting me. Because like I said, a lot of the assault rifles, a lot of the engineered choices are going to be out shooting you within a certain range. So I may sound like I'm really, really negative on this weapon, which I'm not. I'm just giving you guys a kind of a light of the new PP-2000. It's definitely not any different than it used to be, except that it does more damage. So if you're a PP-2000 fan, you could only like it more now. I mean, there's no way to like it less. It definitely does its job well. What I think it excels in is that high ammo count, because it does have 10 to 11 rounds, depending if you have one in the chamber, more than the M5K, which is very similar to this in the damage model. But the thing about it is the M5K only has 30 rounds. It does shoot 900 rounds per minute, which is blazing fast, but the thing is you just burn through ammo. Whereas the PP-2000, it's really nice to sneak up behind someone with a laser sight, and you could just take out gobs and gobs of people, because that 25 max damage is a big deal. You can get a lot of targets in a very short amount of time with the PP-2000. Granted, this hip fire on this thing is amazing. You know, all the PDWs have really good hip fire. You know, the MP7 is notorious for just being a blazing fast hip fire. It just destroys people. But I think the PP-2000 also does a very good job, especially, like I said, if you're strafing around, if you're shooting from the hip, and you can take out a lot of people with this thing. So I do enjoy using the new PP-2000. I definitely like the new damage model. Like I said, the time to kill stats are a little bit skewed. A lot of people take them too seriously. They look at it and they're like, well, the MP7 is always going to beat the PP-2000 even though it does less damage, and that's because it shoots faster. So if you're looking at the time to kill stats, the PP-2000 is always going to be in the middle. It's never going to be leading the pack. So when DICE says it's a mid-range master, it's really just if you're accurate. So if you consider yourself an accurate shot, if you think that you can get all your bullets on target, you're going to have a good time with the PP-2000. I like using it. I think it definitely excels in a close quarter scenario, but it is one of the few PDWs where I suggest, you know, you could take it onto some of the larger maps just because it does have such a low recoil. It's really easy to stay on target. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed this short look at the PP-2000. It's definitely new and improved. And if you have some time, go ahead and check out a couple of other videos that you might have missed, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.